6 a.m. Salt Lake City and 102.7 KSL FM HD2 Salt Lake City Midvale. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
From within the shadows of the ever-windy Traverse Mountain Hills, this is JJ and Alex. Welcome back to the
mountain
program,
made of sand.
Hey, listen. We are outside, man.
So cool.
We have the generator fired up. You know what that means? We are outside. We are broadcasting live. Our location today, like I said, right here at the point of the mountain, you can find a beautiful new high school. I say new. How old is Skyridge now? 5 years old?
A little older than that, but yeah.
I mean, it feels brand new because it, still looks it too. Beautiful high school here, 6A Skyridge, hosting tonight Mountain Ridge in a battle of two 6A schools that have the word Ridge in their name, JJ. So there you go. We are on the road officially. Why is it that important? Because we're back. It's another season of us covering high school football across the KSL Sports brand, covering college football, of course, and bringing you all of it right here on the KSL Sports Zone and streaming live on the KSL Sports app and also on KSLSports.com. JJ, we already had one grandmother come up and make sure you mention their grandson over the broadcast tonight.
Yep. Shout out to Hunter Sheffield. Your grandma's here and excited to cheer you on.
Not only that, I mean, it's a little early for pregame, right? I mean, we're usually the first ones here. She was already in her seat with a
when
blanket.
You got a team this good, you got to get here early for
Love
seats.
it, man. Yes, high school football is underway. It started up last night when Davis beat Brighton 56-7. Or was that the final? Or 56?
14. They got to 14.
Maybe it's 14. Either way, it was 49 to. It was 49-7.
You probably stopped watching at that point.
49-7 at the half. I didn't know what I was watching because Brighton was caught flat-footed against a very good Davis team. So that was the start of your high school season, and then here we are. Following it up with our own broadcast tonight, Game Night Live is live at Skyridge High School tonight, but we're going to do our program, of course. This, of course, JJ, precedes our Football Fridays, which are going to start taking over our Fridays. We're going to be here every Friday covering the Game Night Live games, but we're also going to be, when college football starts up, we're going to be having our usual suspects of people talking college football and an added guest this year that was a late ad and I think is a phenomenal ad, and we're not ready to announce it yet. I think when we get closer, we'll be able to announce what the Football Friday team is going to look like. I will say this. It's going to have a very fun BYU and Utah vibe.
I like it.
On those Football Fridays, man.
Could have some fun little tension every Friday.
I mean, you already bring the tension pretty well yourself. But here we are. JJ, let's start things off here. Our show is brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. Give it a shot today. Costco, Holiday Oil, Maverick, Associated Foods, all in the refrigerated section. Go check it out. Let's kick off the program as we always do on the radio side of things. We're going to kick it off here with The Cut. Let's jump in right here.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the program. TRAJANwealth.com for all your trusted local needs in retirement. Trajan Wealth brings you the program in the top of the hour, this hour. JJ, we're battling a lawnmower. I thought it was turf inside. What's going on here? Got lots of mowers going on.
Well, you have a nice little real turf
Actual
out here
grass,
in front of the school.
All right, I didn't know we were going to be.
Beautiful school here, by the way.
I was going to say
nice.
It is nice. I have in my contract no riding lawnmowers within a half a mile of any of these broadcasts.
Well, then someone's going to have to go whisk that maintenance worker away.
You.
He's going to have to do it on Saturday now.
You. They can
just because Alex Kirry can't be bothered with your lawnmower noise.
Hey, they can almost hear it on the radio. How dare you? All right, so we've got lots to jump into here. And the very first thing, JJ, that I wanted to get to is, and I've seen a couple of publications do this, we find new ways to break down the schedules. And the new way that we've broken the schedule down of the Big 12 back and forth and who's going to win this very topsy-turvy conference and how they're going to do inside of these conferences as well, there's going to be a lot of flux. The ups and downs of the wins and losses, fine. And I think the top is not very top-heavy, and I think the middle is very good. We've talked about it a lot. All the way down to the quote-unquote worst teams in the conference, you still have teams who could surprise you. If you think Oklahoma State, I know they've struggled the last 2 years, but do you think they don't
Do
get
they have any hope? I
don't
didn't
know,
come
but-
away from Big 12 media days and looking at their roster and seeing Gundy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. Like, who's their quarterback?
Yeah.
Who's their running back? What does Oklahoma State have this year? What did they get in the transfer portal that gives them hope? Utah went 5-7 last year
with a bunch of
and
people
finished next to last of the conference, but they went out and made some major changes and brought in a quarterback.
Yeah.
What did Oklahoma State do?
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is that also worries me, too, because I don't think Mike Gundy cares whether or not we know about them or not. You know what I mean? He has, and correct me if I'm wrong, for a long time, think about the oldest coaches in all of college football. Just think of the top three by consecutive years they've been at programs. Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, number one. Number two is a tie between Kyle Whittingham and Mike Gundy. They started at the same time. Mike Gundy is more in the Kirk Ferentz ilk than he is in the Kyle Whittingham one. Do you see what? And let me explain why. Kyle Whittingham has made adjustments to the game, begrudgingly, probably, right? I mean, no coaches have loved this NIL situation totally, and the Wild West that it's created. And I don't think that they love the flux in their roster from year to year, and the quote unquote, what do we hear Kyle Whittingham say all the time? It's. You don't have the loyalty factor is a lot further down than you would normally have. You can't have guys commit for those 4 years because you don't feel like they're necessarily going to, and it's rare that young men. And then he kind of has turned the corner where he goes, and that's their decision if they feel like that they're going to be able to go somewhere else. And sometimes we help them make that decision too because sometimes they're not a fit for this program. But when he started to realize that could benefit him, I think he got really, really good. And I think that the reason that Utah is going to be good this year is because of the transfer portal. So complain all you want. And Kyle Whittingham can roll his eyes all he wants about the fluidity and weirdness of this kind of free agency in college football. If Utah is good, all they have to do is say, thank you, transfer portal, and thank you, new college football 2025, because it has changed the way that we do business. And Utah, if it turns around for them, turns out they're one of the embracers of how this is and not just one that shrugs it off. Mike Gundy hasn't figured out how to shrug it off yet.
Yeah.
I mean, all he's doing is shrugging it off. He hasn't figured out how to solve that puzzle. So whether or not they can do – I don't think a team like Oklahoma has figured it out because I don't think the head coach has. So there's your answer for them. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get it done. But they do always get talent. I mean, Oklahoma State always gets talent. And I will tell you this, Mike Gundy knows how to coach. Like
I agree with that. I'm not going to take that away from him. And Oklahoma State has done things that – especially in the last 10 years that I don't think a lot of people thought their program could do. I mean, I guess you go back to Brandon Whedon and that season that they had, and then obviously they were in a big-time bowl game just a few years ago and in a Big 12 championship game. But I think that Kyle Whittingham has done a good job, actually, of trying to, I guess, adapt to the modern way of doing things.
Despite himself, right?
I'm sure down deep, yeah. But he's also – you've heard him talking about how he was one of the first coaches that was talking publicly about the fact that he could see super conferences developing.
Right.
And he's seen all of this. He doesn't believe that they're done in the Big 12. They're probably going to have to make another move here the next time there's a big move. He gets it and he sees it. And I think last year and the year before that, I don't think that was necessarily because the program was behind or didn't understand what they were doing. They just hitched their wagon to a quarterback that was that had an injury and healthy and couldn't play.
Yeah,
and it kind of went from there. But it wasn't because Kyle Whittingham hasn't embraced the new modern way of doing things. But the opposite of that, I think, has been the problem with Mike Gundy. That's a program that he's just a very stubborn guy, and I don't think he was willing to do things differently than what he's used to doing.
I think if Kyle Whittingham knew that his coaching career was going to be done 2 years ago, he could have acted like that in 2021 and then kept it up all the way through 2023.
He could have stepped down after the Rose Bowl in 2022
and ridden off into the sunset, and no one would have no one would have said, "Man, how dare you walk away from this?"
What did Nick Saban do?
Right, and but here's the thing about Nick Saban that I can't stand, and this is going to come up later in the show. Watch, okay? To get on your pedestal and then try to describe to people now that you've left the game how when you were there it was so much better. The reality about Nick Saban was I just don't think he was equipped to handle the modern version of what we're getting here. And there are some coaches who are equipped. I'm not saying with staff and with money and blah, 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 but it's a guy who continues to rail against the athlete and their desires. Who cares about what they want? I'm about developing young men.
Yeah.
It's like, are you really? So your fee for developing young men because money's not important is $12.5 million.
Right. That's where I stop with it.
I have a hard time.
Stop with the hypocrisy.
I can't stand it. So I'm just helping develop young men just for a mere $12.5 million.
Develop his financial portfolio.
I know, and that's what I hate is it makes it sound like he's going down to the Boys and Girls Club and like volunteering, down there. That is not what we're talking about here, Coach. It benefited you. It benefits everybody, by the way, if your team can get good. The problem is there are teams like Kansas now who are pouring $300 million into their athletic program, and it's going to make a difference, and it'll make a dent in what the big schools can do later. So that's why the superpowers have problems with it. I've gotten a little bit away from what I wanted to say, which is a juxtaposition of Oklahoma State and Utah, who've chosen, I think, different paths. Yeah. Utah absolutely embracing the transfer portal. It's going to make a difference. They're going to be good. You can be good. And you could be amazing 1 year to the next now in college football because you can revamp your entire roster. Ask Colorado. They just basically get a new roster every year. That's how they do it. That's their version of how to do things. Now, CBS Sports put this thing out. I've seen different versions of this, but I saw one about every Big 12's first loss. Every Big 12 program's first loss.
This is really interesting, and I have some thoughts on
Have you seen some of these graphics, by the way? I've seen a handful of them, and I'm like, wow, that's actually kind of interesting. One of them has BYU and Utah next to each other there. And the two different versions of this that I saw, one was, I think, Sporting News, and another was CBS Sports. And the people who have, you go down, and I'll just find the teams that mean the most to us here in alphabetical order. So let's go to BYU right off the bat, okay? The first one that I saw of this had BYU going 6-0. Okay? Mm-hmm. No, the article was not written by one of our future guests in the upcoming 30-30 segment, Spencer Linton. Okay?
Not a BYU employee writing this.
No, that we know of. So their first loss, according to them, on the season and in the Big 12 was against Utah in Game 7. And then on the other one, on this CBS Sports one, they have BYU's first loss, I think, the week before.
Arizona.
It would be against
in
Arizona.
Tucson. We've talked about that game being a swing game for BYU.
It could be a swing game. We have no idea what we're going to get with Arizona.
6-0 going into the Utah game, and BYU would be firmly entrenched in the top 25 with Big 12 title hopes.
There's part of me
with a freshman quarterback.
There's part of me. Listen, there's part of me that could convince BYU fans that maybe you should take that L at Tucson the week before. Because maybe you get that fire lit under you, and that gets you beating Utah while you're at home. Because I do think that Utah coming into BYU, if BYU's 6-0, which they were 7-0, 8-0, maybe going into, because when they beat Utah, they went to 9-0.
Yeah,
they could be going into that
Utah game. They were 7th in the college football playoff ranking before the loss to Kansas.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on this 96-degree day out here in Lehigh. Yeah, some of the equipment made a little bit of a...
We're melting.
Early escape, no problem. We got it figured out. We got the right people on the job. We got it. So we got everything figured out. Where were we, JJ?
Let's continue this conversation about, and I think it's a fascinating talk about where do we think the teams in the conference are going to have their first loss.
So what did we say?
Because this will impact significantly what the race looks like.
The two versions of this that I saw was BYU losing to Utah in their first loss of the season was going to make them 6-1. And then this one that we just saw from CBS Sports have them going 5-1. Their first loss would be against Arizona, actually the week prior to them taking on Utah. So,
correct.
Out of those two, which one do you think is actually true?
I think it's more likely. Well, just based on numbers, I'm not predicting because everybody can't wait. You're putting me in a tough spot here. Don't put me there yet. I'm not predicting this, but
I'm saying which
it would
one
be
is
a
more
Utah
likely.
loss is more likely
Yeah.
than a loss at Arizona because Utah's a much better football team than Arizona this season, I believe. I know that Noah Fafita is a really good quarterback with a lot of experience, but I don't buy Arizona that there's going to be a significant improvement, especially on defense with that team. They lost their best defensive player in the transfer portal to Washington. I don't think Arizona is going to be anywhere near a contender, and so while going to Tucson can be tricky, as Utah definitely knows, and BYU as well, I don't think that that's the test. I think it is Utah. I think that game, and I do feel strongly that BYU will be undefeated when they take on Utah at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. I believe that.
For
and
a team,
we'll see where Utah's at.
Okay, let me ask you this then: for a team who is in the coaches poll 23, out on the outside looking in on the AP poll, and frankly, a team that a lot of people are looking at and going, that team probably does not have what it takes to be, a winner long term this season. We might see them. What was the term that was used with us this past week with one of these writers? I think one of the AP voters goes, it was John Wilner. He goes, I think we're going to see BYU regress to the mean. And I thought, oh boy, BYU fans heard that and probably went, what did you say? Because I think that a lot of them think that the norm is actually more along the lines of Kalani winning double-digit games in a season, which he's done 3 out of the past 4 seasons. Now, that's not – I mean, you got to have a little bit more of a sample size than that to establish greatness. But what you do have is a team that last year was expected to be even way worse than this team that we're putting down on paper, and they were written off, right?
Well, what Wilner means, and look, BYU fans have strong feelings about John Wilner.
What?
They think he's a Pac-12 hack, which not true, but you can have your opinion. When he talks about regression to the mean, it talks about how many close games can you actually pull off and win in a season.
Yeah.
And the year before, we saw BYU not win those close games. We saw the extreme of that, finishing 5-7. Last year, we saw the extreme of winning the close games and finishing 11-2. The regression of the mean is would mean somewhere in the middle, which means 7-8 wins. And I look at BYU's schedule, and I'm like, they got 8 wins this year. I really believe that strongly.
Where are the potential losses, the ones that you pencil in and you go, hold your horses? Is Arizona even on that list? Because for me, I don't feel like Arizona's one that I pencil in as a loss.
I don't think so. I look at their schedule, and some might go, well, Colorado in the conference opener. Nah. I don't buy Colorado this year. I don't think that they have the horses that they've had in the past. Obviously, you lose the best player in the country and one of the best quarterbacks in the country to the NFL draft. You're gonna struggle to replace that production. And I don't think that Colorado was very good defensively, and I don't think their offensive line is any better. So I don't think it's Colorado. I think West Virginia is not ready yet, so I think they win that game at home. And then on the road at Arizona, I think you start looking at that middle part of the schedule. And I guess it's more – it's not necessarily the middle. It's the middle of the conference schedule. I'll say that. Utah, Iowa State on the road, Texas Tech on the road, TCU at home. Of those 4 games, how many of those games does BYU win? I think if they go 1-3, it would be actually pretty impressive because Texas Tech on the road, we think Texas Tech's going to be really good. Iowa State and Ames, I think I have a lot of respect for Iowa State, and I think they're really good too. Can BYU split the home games with TCU and Utah? That would put them at 1-3. If they can win both of those, then awesome. If they win all 4 of those, they're the best team in the Big 12.
Wild.
Right? I mean, clearly. Even if you go 3-1, you still could claim and still will have a chance, in my opinion, to win the Big 12. Because if they go 3-1 in that stretch, I don't see them losing any other conference game. They finished the season at UCF. The week before they're at Cincinnati. I know it's on the road, 2 time zones. I talk about that all the time. It can be difficult for teams. But Cincinnati, I think BYU handles that game. So it comes down to the middle portion of that schedule in conference. How do they do against Utah, Iowa State, Texas Tech, and TCU? That will determine how successful this season is. Do they go 0-4, 1-3, 2-2, 3-1, or if they sweep all those? You're talking about one of the best teams in the country.
Okay, let's have this let's do this same little practice here with the University of Utah then, who are on this list are said to lose and on both the lists that I saw, they have them losing to Texas Tech, but that game's at home at Rice-Eccles. That's at that point when everybody thinks that you're an underdog at home at Rice-Eccles Stadium, that becomes less of a quote-unquote swing game. that could turn heads in a massive way because everybody expects you to lose that game, including all the talking heads across, the national landscape who are waiting for Texas Tech to kind of take off, right?
Yeah. I think Utah's schedule is tough.
It is.
I think you look at Texas Tech.
Tougher than BYU. That's schedule.
There's no doubt about
yeah.
it. I think if who knows? I don't think we're going to see the conference flip on its head this year like it did last year. I don't believe that. I think a lot of people think, you never know. Like this team, there's the parity in this conference. I think this year I have a better grasp of who the best teams are, and I don't think we're going to have extremes like we did last year. Like I don't think Arizona State's going to be the worst team in the conference this year, right? I don't think that's going to happen. But if you look at Utah's schedule, if they beat Texas Tech, that would put them at 4-0 with wins on the road at UCLA and a win against a ranked Texas Tech team at home. Then they have to go 2 time zones to West Virginia. We talk about that all the time. The long trip can be tough.
And I think it's actually it's a quick turnaround too. Like I know
we don't have a time yet. I don't know how early it is. That impacts it too. Yeah, no, it's there's no bye. There's no bye between September 20th and September 27th. They do have a bye between West Virginia and Arizona State. So if somehow Utah comes out of that unscathed, they're in the top 20, they're 5-0, and you're staring at a game against Arizona State at Rice-Eccles Stadium on October 11th. Both teams will be ranked. Arizona State could be undefeated and in the top 5 by that point. They're already at number 11. Think about how massive that game could be at Rice-Eccles Stadium between Utah and Arizona State.
How about the game in Provo?
And then what's after that?
A
week later, you're at BYU.
What a letdown! So this publication has BYU losing to Arizona, possibly. Or CBS Sports has them losing to Arizona. Maybe that first loss for them. If Utah loses their first game against Arizona State and they both go into Provo with their first loss from the week prior and all that vibe that was going on and probably national rankings. If they were both,
it becomes an elimination game when it comes to the Big 12 championship
game. If they were both, that's a great point. If they were both like well outside the top 25, maybe 5 games wouldn't be enough to be ranked to go 5-0. But you know what? These guys are right on the cusp. They wouldn't just be ranked. They would both be like, you know how these things break out too.
Yeah.
By week 5 or 6, if they both played each other and they were both 6-0. They would be probably like 11th and 12th, 10th and 11th, 9th and 10th, maybe even depending on how some of these.
We could have a top 10 rivalry showdown if that's the case. 2 undefeated teams, BYU and Utah.
In Provo on October 18th.
Right. That could be a top 10
Doesn't
matchup.
Governor Cox, when he asked people to pray for rain, can we throw this one in on the – can you throw this one in on the side too?
Why not?
He's like, also,
look,
Utah's governor asking residents to pray for rain during this drought, and also praying for 2 undefeated teams going into the rivalry weekend between BYU and Utah. We call it the Holy War.
If that's the case, Alex, which team would be more impressive at that point based on their schedule and the victories
based off the schedule? Utah would have beaten Arizona State the week prior.
They would have beat Texas.
They would have beat Texas Tech at home. Utah would have the edge, and I'll tell you what would happen is BYU would get jumped in the rankings, and you're seeing probably more along the lines of like a number 8, number 9, number 10 Utah versus a number 10, number 11, number 12 BYU. Don't hate it. And by the way, if you're asking for 2 teams to get up at the top of the Big 12 mountain and to kind of assert themselves, it takes longer than just a couple years, obviously, but why not have this be a meaningful rivalry every year? I think that helps when you put it at the end of the season, but that's just me.
Well,
that's one of those things.
In this scenario, Alex, the mid-October game actually
could break well for
would have massive for both programs because the possibility of being ranked like that. When's the last time we had a BYU-Utah game with both teams in that kind of a position where they're undefeated and ranked in the top 25? It's been a minute without me doing some crack research here. It would be massive, and I've talked about this on the show. We understand the intensity of the BYU-Utah rivalry. The nation doesn't. Don't fool yourself. This is not a rivalry that captures national attention.
You have to convince a lot of people. Some people know the history.
In order to do that, you need to have both of these teams in a Power 4 conference on a big stage, and undefeated in the top 25 this year would vault the rivalry onto that stage. So that scenario would be massive for college football in this state. But to get there, what Utah has to do to get there seems really tough. I mean, I expect them to beat UCLA, but by no means is that easy. Nico could have a great game right out of the gate. I have no idea. We don't know what Utah is yet. We won't know until game 1. And we might not know until Texas Tech, honestly. So Utah's got a gauntlet to go through to get there. Much, much more difficult than what BYU has. But if Utah's able to do that, I think the perception of Utah changes dramatically. You stop talking about 5-7 last year, and you start talking about doing something pretty darn big. And that game between BYU and Utah could have massive implications when it comes to the Big 12 championship game. Let's hope that's the case. I mean, Utah beating Texas Tech, West Virginia on the road, and Arizona State before they get to that BYU game would just be phenomenal.
Who are the other favorites, JJ, in the Big 12? Because I think it's important to look at kind of where people think that their first losses are going to go. We brought up Texas Tech. Where do they have Texas Tech even losing that first game? Because I honestly look at it and I think for all the love and the hype and the pump up that Texas Tech has gotten, if you go down, at
Arizona State on October 18th would be their first loss.
So that again would put them at about a 6-0. Oh yeah, depending on where their first bye is.
Top 10 in the country. They would be the front runner, and of course, and I think a lot of people believe that Texas Tech and Arizona State are probably the two best teams in the Big 12 preseason, and those are the two teams that a lot of experts predict and expect will be in the Big 12 championship game. And for those two teams to be playing each other in mid-October is going to be really fascinating.
Now, here's what's interesting is some losses on this list, they don't matter. I mean, say what you will about the famed TCU-SMU rivalry game down there in the Metroplex. No one actually gives a crap about that game.
No,
I mean, down there in DFW, this was a joke of a lineup.
Nobody cares. They care about the Cowboys and maybe a little Texas, maybe a little Longhorns.
Right, and so a TCU-SMU game, they're not even in the same conference, right? So this has TCU losing to SMU on September 20th. By the way, RIP to the feelings of fans who had their first loss like in the first. Kansas State got dealt the worst one. Somebody's got to lose that Iowa State-Kansas State game.
Yeah.
They made the prediction here that Kansas State would lose that one. So first loss of the season, August 23rd, before anybody even wakes up and plays football yet.
A week 0 loss for Kansas State.
A week 0 loss. I don't know if that's going to be true. I lean more towards Kansas State in that game between Iowa State and Kansas State.
Too.
But like I said, Utah with Texas Tech on September 20th. The other teams of note in the Big 12 that you've got your eye on is Texas Tech losing to Arizona State. Now, where do they have Arizona State losing their first game then? How about them losing right off the bat against SEC
in Starkville?
SEC power with the cowbells going off in the background? Mississippi State.
I don't see it. Mississippi State stinks. I think that Arizona State wins that game. I don't think that I'm not so high on Arizona State. Like I don't think they're the number one team. Obviously, they're the champs. They deserve that respect. But I would expect another team to win the conference this year. So I'm not saying Arizona State's not going to be good. I'm just saying
Arizona State.
I don't think they're the team to beat.
Arizona State. They have CBS Sports has some kind of a beef against, or maybe just some untapped feelings of love for the SEC because they have Mississippi State beating Arizona State down there on September 6th. That would be the second game of the year for Arizona State, so going 1-1 off the bat. Now, again, these are non-conference losses, so they don't ding as much. And, frankly, the teams that have early losses, JJ, they're in a better spot than some of these teams that have the late losses.
Sure, we saw that last year. BYU beat SMU. If somebody would have told you that SMU would have made the college football playoff last year after that game ended, what would you have told them?
You would have been like that.
How is that possible?
Okay,
BYU just beat you on your field.
You saw that. You saw somebody put that on an X page the next day on some fan forum, whatever SMU's version of Cougar Board is.
Right.
And they say, I think we bounce back from this. And we go to the college football playoff. And then you have people showing up and going, hey, listen, that's some real homer stuff right there, brother. There's no dang way. You're out of the fandom. But it happened. And then they have Baylor losing to Auburn on August 29th. So the first game of the season for Baylor, they have Dave Aranda. By the way, they're hosting Auburn.
Yeah, I like
Auburn
Baylor in that game. I'm high on Baylor. I think they're going to be really good.
More importantly, we're low on freaking Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers.
I don't trust Hugh Freeze.
So I don't get.
They've got different offensive coordinators calling different plays based on what down it is.
Okay.
Good luck, Hugh Freeze and Auburn.
Other teams, I will say this, though. Houston they have going 4-0 before losing to Texas Tech.
Product of the schedule.
Iowa State they have going 8-0.
Whoa.
And losing at TCU for their first loss.
9-0.
9-0. So their
TCU November 8th would be their first loss.
That's right. And I don't know what they have running up to that, but that seems aggressive. I don't know if I have – so this is basically –
I have a lot of respect for Iowa State. Matt Campbell's going to have them ready, but they've only had one 10-win season in their entire history.
And it was
the truth. We talk about regression to the mean.
It was last
regression
year.
to the mean. John Miller talks about regression to the mean with
Right.
BYU.
Right.
Regression to the mean with Iowa State is real. Like, that program normally wins 7-8 games max. I think that's the kind of season they're going to have. They lost receivers of the NFL. They don't have the same level of talent. I think Iowa State is going to take a slight step back. I mean, like 7-8 wins. I don't think they're conference contenders, and they're definitely not going to lose their first game in November.
Next up, I'm trying to look at some of these other teams. Yeah, so Utah, their first loss against Texas Tech on September 20th. I mean, that seems reasonable of a pick. It does seem a little bit right now in our heads like that could be more of a pick 'em than we think. But I also don't think that a team like Texas Tech, who I don't think has ever come to Rice-Eccles Stadium, I think it was one of these matchups, JJ, that we looked at that they had it like no, they did play in 1940.
Yeah,
but they never got
40s.
out. But they never got out of Lubbock. BYU has kind of the same history, right? BYU has the same history with Texas Tech.
They had some wartime battles,
right? And so I think that a team who has no idea what they're getting into. I watched somebody because it's what BYU fans do, and I love every second of it when people like just get fired up about it. This is how desperate we are, right? This is the X version of that. Somebody posting the Kalen Clay drop at the 1 yard line and Oregon returning it, and just the wild moment that was. Somebody also put up on X a Utah fan putting up on X, I think, a clip of it was Utah beating Jim Harbaugh when they came in, and Utah was an afterthought. Do you remember this going into this game? No one
I was
cared.
there at that game.
No one cared about Utah.
It was all about Harbaugh in that game.
Everybody was like, oh, Jim Harbaugh making his return to Ann Arbor. Now he's on the road against Utah, but they'll move past this, and they'll get right into that national championship conversation. And what I remembered was Jim Harbaugh coming across the field with his mouth, he has that kind of like mouth open, slack jaw, like, look all the time. Like he's coming across to shake Kyle Whittingham's hand. Rice-Eccles Stadium blew up, and I thought to myself, these guys don't know what that sound is like. The horseshoe sounds different, right? It's loud. The big house I've been to, you've been to it.
Yeah.
The sound is not an issue.
No.
There's a lot of people there, but it is not it's not Autzen Stadium.
Yeah.
The setup of it, Rice-Eccles Stadium shocks people when they get here. And Texas Tech will be no different. And they'll do this whole thing where they'll be like, I think we've played in big environments before. I've played at Royal K Stadium. I've played at Ammon Carter Stadium, and those TCU fans are riled up. And I'm like, this is different.
Yep.
It really is. And I'm not one to, harp on like the elevation and all that stuff. I don't know how much that makes a difference. I really don't.
The elevation doesn't make a factor. The crowd certainly does.
But that's an environment that's wild.
Yep.
It's an environment that most people don't expect. And so for me, when I saw that clip up there and I thought, Rice-Eccles Stadium turns into something different. And even Texas Tech, I want to remind Texas Tech fans, you're still like baby brother in that state. I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm saying there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I think you're going in the right direction with the amount of money you're spending, because you're spending big brother money. But you're still little brother. You haven't done anything yet. Texas Tech is not a football program yet. Don't show me Patrick Mahomes and show me what he did. Don't show me Graham Harrell and these guys who threw for a cajillion yards, because they never did anything with it.
Yep.
I love Mike Leach. I loved his time there in Lubbock. They never did anything with it. So just crowning Texas Tech before they've really done anything, everybody looks at Utah like this weird backwoods team, like, oh, they're an old team from the old Mountain West, and they're in the bad Pac-12. It's like, these are Pac-12 champions. They've won Power 4 conference championships before.
Yeah.
Texas Tech is not.
Right.
So, when teams roll up, I always have to be like, hey, I don't think you guys know what you're getting into. And that's a factor. All right. Should we take a break? Gosh, I got too riled up early. Did I waste it all?
Great topic,
Did I waste all my energy?
When that loss happens matters, and it allows you to look at the schedule and see what's coming up, and you see what's possible, what can happen, what could be if these teams take care of business in these games, but leading up to that BYU-Utah game. Really fascinating.
We're outside Skyridge High School here in Lehigh, Utah, and it's hot out here, JJ. I usually don't have an appetite when it's hot out. It kind of tamps down the feelings of eating a sandwich.
I'm not in the mood for grilled cheese right now.
Normally not, but I'm going to tell you something. I got a fat guy topic coming up.
Okay, good.
Food-based, football-based, sports-based. You don't want to miss it. Stay here. We're going to have our Would You Rather conversation next right here, live. We're down at Skyridge High School. It's going to be Skyridge and Mountain Ridge tonight, facing off right here in the stadium behind us. We're actually in the stadium. Boy, I'm glad we're getting out of here when we do. The student section could spit right on us, JJ. And then it'd actually be like a more authentic experience, I feel like.
I would take piss. I would take spit over urine. I would.
Get that drop. I don't know how, but let's get it. All right, we'll take a break.
I would take spit over urine.
We'll come back. More to go. 97.5 VKSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody. Real-life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
Don't tell me my business, devil woman. Name that tune.
It's Billy Madison, right?
That's right. It's poop again. Welcome back to the program. This program's not poop again. All right, come on.
Everyone has their opinions.
Yes, they do.
You're welcome to share those opinions with us on X.
So here's the deal. I've got a weird one here for you, and chime in if you have any other ones that I might be missing on here. But JJ, the would you rather list here that I've got in front of me, and I know our producer Alex yelled at me to say something before we get into this, and I'll do it right now so that I don't go too far. We are revealing for you right now our Win Ticket Wednesday contest for next week. Here we go. KSL Sports, the KSL Sports Zone, is rolling out. Are you ready for this? Counting Crows coming up August 21st. Talk about a throwback to high school. August 21st at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. Don't miss Counting Crows, the complete suites tour. Special guests, the Gaslight Anthem. Get your tickets right now at livenation.com or just listen all day long on Wednesday for our now world-famous Win Ticket Wednesdays. JJ.
Is Mr. Jones still with us? He sang about him a long time ago. I just wanted to make sure Mr. Jones is okay and he's still doing all right.
I think that the lead singer of the Counting Crows, those dreadlocks, I hope are gone.
I hope he's had a shower since 1992. Probably not. By the way, I don't think Counting Crows has aged well. I don't really enjoy listening to that anymore.
Don't love that music, but the other day, hey, producer Alex, Candlebox came across my. What's the song they did? You remember the song they did? Look up some Candlebox. I bet the only song we have in our system was Candlebox. We're going to do it to come back in one of these.
Candlebox.
I know, but you know what? It felt like 1997 again, JJ. I want you to go back to that time. I'll look into it. I love it. Efforting. No problem.
103.5 The Arrow's got to have at least one Candlebox song.
Candlebox is in there, man. They might have kicked it out of the system because no one listens to it, but I don't know. All right, so here's what I've got for you. This is a little bit of a battle here because as the year gets started, I was thinking about this and I thought, you know what? Who has the best concessions? Okay, so I'm going to give you some options.
Good.
I'm going to give you some options at Lavelle Edwards Stadium versus Rice-Eccles Stadium. Who have the best concessions just of our college sports teams, or at least those two. And if you know what, listen, we all know. And I'm a BYU grad. I enjoyed some BYU creamery ice cream. I think I actually enjoy Aggie ice cream better. I can say that definitively.
That's controversial.
Well, I know, but they actually sell it by me, and it's easier to get.
Right.
And the creamery is not easy to get, so I'd rather support local and get the Aggie ice cream. Although the Grand Canyon,
it's not like they make BYU ice cream in China.
China. Well, I know, but I'm not making the drive to Provo to get some
tariff-free ice cream. I'm not going to put tariffs on the ice cream. We're not going to do that.
JJ, first up, I'm going to give you a few options here to make some orders, okay? So you can get Dippin' Dots at both locations, okay?
Dippin' Dots. I'm not sure
But you can actually – Dippin' Dots is just kind of a throwaway there.
Yeah.
But in terms of ice cream, there are other ice cream things in there. So would you rather do a Dippin' Dots at Rice-Eccles Stadium or a BYU Creamery ice cream situation?
It's not even close. BYU Creamery.
100%.
Dippin' Dots or blah.
Okay. Would you rather have
there goes that sponsorship.
Now, I don't know what this – I haven't actually eaten there, but would you rather have a Cup Bop at Lavelle Edwards Stadium? Now, I know I like Cup Bop. I know Cup Bop.
Yeah, it's good.
Decent. Or would you rather have the Cup Bop at Lavelle Edwards Stadium or the Sobe Eats? What is that? at Rice Cycle
If I
Stadium.
have to go, what is that? No offense, Sobe Eats. I'm going to go with the Cup Bop because I know what that is.
All right. Now the heavy hitters come out. Out. The oh boy. So this location has places at both. So I'm gonna use the one down at Lavelle Edwards Stadium.
Okay.
J-Dogs at Lavelle Edwards Stadium or the Pie Pizzeria at Rice Cycle Stadium.
Sorry, I love J-Dogs, but I'm going with the pie.
The pie might be the most unbeatable single item.
Greasy, cheesy pizza.
I can't sleep
loaded with toppings.
If I can't eat the pie pizza and sleep in my bedroom. I'm not allowed. It's not allowed. So
there's definitely consequences, but it doesn't prevent you from actually enjoying it when you eat it.
For sure,
it's worth it.
I will say they both have a sandwich shop in town. So would you?
I love J-Dogs, and they taste different in Utah County.
Yeah, would you rather have the? Okay, hold on. So you have two sandwich options.
Okay.
BYU goes full on hardcore with the Happy Gilmore rated Subway sandwich.
Okay.
Or the Jersey Mike's at Rice Cycle Stadium.
Jersey Mike's.
All right.
Easy.
I
can't get over Jared.
Hey.
I just can't get over Jared.
Cougar tail or a funnel cake? Cougar tail at BYU or a funnel cake at Rice Cycle?
This is going to be a controversial take. I'm going to get more hate for this than anything I've said about BYU or Utah. Funnel cake.
Wow.
I think the Cougar tail is
overrated.
Mid.
It's a maple donut.
It's a mid.
Mitch Harper,
and it's too much.
Mitch Harper is just the guy who'll be like, hey, listen, it's classic. You can't beat it. You go to the stadium, you have to have a massive maple donut.
Pizza Hut is classic. How many Pizza Huts are left? That doesn't make it good, right?
Nobody. What do they say?
Nobody out pizzas
Nobody
the
out
hut.
pizzas the hut. Hey. All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. I think Spencer Linton from BYU TV is going to join us. He'll have his opinions on it. And, JJ, I want you to tell him to his stinking face over the radio. Tell Spencer to his face that you don't like BYU ice cream and you don't like
them's fighting words.
Oh, no, BYU ice cream you gave the nod to. That the Cougar tail is worse than the generic funnel cake at Rice Cycle Stadium.
Geez.
All right. Stay here.
I'm
More to
get
go.
in trouble.
More to go around the corner. 97.5 VKSL Sports Zone.